Exposed. The haunted secrets of my sinister job on a research submarine revealed in 30 days. Marie had always dreamed of uncovering the mysteries of the ocean. But this was different. This was not just a job, it was a nightmare. As she stood in the cramped quarters of the government research submarine, surrounded by the pitch-black waters of the coast, the excitement that once pulsed through her veins had twisted into icy dread. The very essence of the submarine felt alive, echoing with unnerving clanks and groans that rattled her resolve. The shadowy depths beyond the mud-colored porthole beckoned her. But something lurked just outside the light, something silent, calculating, waiting. As her colleagues engaged in banter, Marie felt the weight of the black abyss constricting around her. It suffocated her dreams of groundbreaking oceanic discoveries. Instead, it pressed in on her, night after night, whispering unspeakable truths that gnawed at her sanity. One night, the echoes grew darker. Clanging noises reverberated, jarring her from sleep. It was not mechanical, no, it felt alive. Then came the whispers, creeping in when no one else was around. They crawled under her skin, planting seeds of doubt and fear. She could no longer shake the feeling that something else was beneath those waves, something ancient and powerful, and it was watching her. Marie clutched her notebook, the only source of clarity in the mounting chaos. Then it happened. A fleeting shadow darted past the porthole, its form indistinct yet palpable in the dark. Panic surged through her, her heart pounding like a drum. "Did you see that?" she asked when her colleague, Ben, entered. Instead of validation, he scoffed, leaving her with only disbelief echoing in her mind. Soon after, during a routine dive, Ben disappeared. Just gone. It sent dread sinking in Marie's stomach like an anchor. The crew morphed overnight, their faces twisting into masks of anxiety, hostility, and bravado. They no longer shared meals or laughs. There were only hurried glances and hushed conversations. Whatever they were hiding lurked beneath the surface, and it clawed its way into Marie's thoughts. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In desperation, she reached out to old friends and family back in Havenwood, desperate to break free from the isolation. But instead of support, she was met with dark whispers of her family's past, buried secrets tied to local legends about malevolent spirits hiding beneath the waves. It was all connected to folklore her grandfather warned her about, tales of disappearances that were brushed aside by the townsfolk like cobwebs as the storm raged above. Both in the ocean and within the submarine, her colleagues slipped further into madness, the atmosphere growing thick with paranoia. Marie's grip on reality loosened, and in every corner of the sub, she felt the weight of betrayal. Was she really in danger, or was the fear consuming her? Just as she braced herself to confront the ghosts lurking behind the shadows, a sharp ping sliced through the air. A message flickering on her screen: trust no one. The water remembers. The submarine trembled suddenly, dousing her mind in chilling uncertainty. Heart racing, she tensed, fearing the darkness outside would pour in and swallow her whole. Would anyone take her warning seriously before it was too late? As the lights flickered again, plunging her world into darkness, Marie questioned the nature of her reality and wondered could she unravel the truth hidden beneath the depths before it consumed them all. The echo of that foreboding message throbbed in Marie's mind like a pulsating wave. She scrambled to make sense of what it meant. The water remembers. What did it want her to know? The lights flickered one final time before plunging the submarine into suffocating darkness. The oppressive silence was broken only by the low hum of machinery and the distant rumble of the sea's fury. Panic constricted her throat. She considered the crew. They were all strangers now, each of them with secrets buried as deep as the ocean itself. She needed answers. Marie stumbled into the narrow corridor, her heart racing as the cold air wrapped around her like an icy shroud. Shadows danced along the walls, teasing her without mercy. Each time the submarine groaned, a shudder of fear pulsed through her. "Ben, where are you?" she whispered, hope dwindling with each echo that seemed to mock her. Suddenly, from the corner of her eye, a figure darted past her. She whipped around, breath catching, but it was nothing. Just darkness and the echo of her own dread. Then the whispers started again. The words slid through the cracks like water creeping under a door. The water remembers it resonated as if alive, a mocking reminder that she was not alone. In a rush, she burst into the control room, where the screens glowed faintly, offering a dim contrast to the oppressive blackness outside. Marie turned to the team members hunched over instruments, their faces pale and worn. We need to talk about what is happening. Ben is gone, and something isn't right. Their eyes snapped to her, wild with fear. The air grew thick, and for an instant, she could see the threads of panic weaving through them. What are you accusing us of? One of them, a wiry man named Jonah, snapped back. It's just your imagination, Marie. You're losing it. Am I? Or are you trying to hide something? She erupted, voice shaking with anger and fear. Their silence hung in the air like a portent. But it was then that the lights flickered back on, revealing stark terror on each of their faces as the reality dawned on them. All at once, a loud thud reverberated through the submarine, jolting everyone. The floor shook, and red emergency lights illuminated the room, casting a hellish glow across their expressions. The sound drummed louder, a rhythmic pounding, like a heartbeat, coming from directly beneath them. What was that? Jonah's voice was barely a whisper, stricken with sheer terror. It's close, Marie murmured, clutching her notebook. Thoughts of the water, the memories buried beneath it, flooded back to her. What had been waiting to rise? Let us get out of here. Another crew member shouted, eyes darting. But as they moved to escape, a thick black mass surged on the monitors, swallowing everything in its path. It seemed to twist and unfold, forming shapes that almost resembled anguished faces. The water remembers it came again, clearer this time louder. The hauntings of those lost were rising, expressing their revenge through the depths. Marie, came a faint voice, echoing like a whisper across years. It twisted into a chilling ring that sent ice through her veins. She gripped the notebook tighter, sensing it was more than just her lifeline against madness. It held the beginnings of a truth she might not be ready for. Outside, the ocean roiled, turbulent and furious, hungry to reclaim its secrets. Where do we go? Someone cried, their voice cracking. Panic flooded the room as shadows writhed against the walls. The submarine quaked, binding them in fear and uncertainty. Marie's mind raced. Could this dark entity, this ancient memory of the ocean, consume them all? As the humming grew louder, she felt the pull of the abyss calling her name. To confront the truth beneath the waves, she would have to make an unimaginable choice. Do you trust me? She asked the crew, desperation rising. But in the back of her mind, a chilling thought haunted her. Would trust even matter as they sank deeper into the darkness? And just like that, another thud, a resounding knock against the hull. Was it the water or something worse? Just then, the lights began to flicker violently again, pushing Marie one step closer to the edge of insanity. Something was coming to collect its due, and the only way to survive was to challenge the very depths that sought to reclaim them. Marie stood her ground. Would they flee or face the truth together? The darkness swelled around her like an unbreakable current, dragging her into its depths. The thudding grew deafening, a relentless barrage that rattled the very bones of the submarine. Marie felt her breath quicken, each echo constricting her chest. The crew huddled together, eyes wide, faces pale, their humanity stripped away by sheer terror. The frantic lights cast jagged shadows, distorting their features into grotesque parodies of fear. What do we do? A voice quivered, barely audible over the ominous pulse that surged from below. Marie closed her eyes tight, trying to tune out the chaos around her. We need to make a choice, she shouted over the din, trying to sound confident despite the ice-cold fear creeping up her spine. We can't just stay here and wait. The room buzzed with anxious murmurs as uncertainty swallowed them. We can't ignore it, she insisted, pointing at the monitors, where the dark mass twisted, curling like smoke but far more sinister. Whatever that is, it's coming for us. What if it knows we're here? Jonah's voice trembled, his eyes flicking to the hissing screens. What if it enough? Marie cut him off, her voice sharp like glass. We need to decide. Are we running from it or confronting it? The crew looked to each other, the air thick with doubt and dread. Shadows darted behind them, whispers lurking just out of sight. The water remembers. She couldn't shake the terror gnawing at her, that deep-rooted instinct to flee, yet she felt the weight of something heavy within her, pulling her towards the truth. "I think I know what we're dealing with," she said, clutching her notebook like a lifebuoy. "I need to tell you all what I've found." Jonah sneered, his bravado brimming with skepticism. "You think you have all the answers? Look where that got us. It's not just some creature, it's memories. The emotions of those who drowned. They want us to know," Marie shot back, her words dripping with urgency. A low, grating sound rippled through the steel hull, vibrating and echoing as if the vessel itself groaned in recognition. "Memories?" Jonah echoed, the color draining from his face. "That's insane. You can't be serious." "I am serious. We're here to excavate the past, to reveal what's hidden beneath the waves. That dark mass is feeding on everything we've left behind." Before she could voice any more of the swirling thoughts crashing in her head, another shudder surged through the submarine, causing the monitors to blink furiously. A wave of cold rolled over them, as if the entity beneath had taken a breath of its own. "Listen," another crew member, Leah, cried out, eyes wide with a mix of fear and confusion. "What if the water does remember, and it's angry? Then we find out why," Marie shouted, her spirit igniting. "We don't back down. Not now." With shaking hands, she flipped through the notebook. The scrawl of lines and symbols seemed to leap off the page. Some of these ancient texts mention a ritual, a way to communicate with the spirits of the deep. But it requires a sacrifice, a true offering from someone willing to confront their fate. The collective gasp from the crew hit her like a physical blow. "What are you suggesting?" Jonah croaked, backing away as though the air had thickened with danger. "I'm saying we need to go deeper, confront what lies beneath. Or else we become its next memory, swallowed whole by the abyss." Silence fell, punctuated by the chaos outside. The pounding echoed louder, the darkness pressing in. With every word, Marie felt the walls closing, the water looming closer, alive with its mysteries. "Are we willing to lose one of our own to save the rest?" Leah's voice was barely a whisper, trembling on the wind of uncertainty. Marie's heart sank at the reality. The decision hung heavily in the air. Would they allow one to face the depths while the rest remained? Fears skittered through the crew, igniting primal instincts of survival. Just then, the lights cut out once more, leaving them in a clammy, suffocating void. All noise ceased, replaced by an absolute silence that screamed of dread. Marie dared to breathe, her pulse thrumming in her ears. "We need to act now before it's too late." Suddenly, something drummed against the hull, gentle at first, but a rising crescendo of desperation. "The choice is ours to make," Marie declared, feeling the weight of their fates teeter precariously in her grasp. But as the shadows spiraled, a soft whisper filled the air, tightening around them, laced with a sinister promise. "The water remembers, and it will collect in that moment." Dread washed over her like a tide. Would they unravel the mystery, or become part of the story buried in the shifting depths? As the lights flickered back on, illuminating terrified faces and desperate eyes, one question echoed in her mind: was the truth worth the price they'd have to pay? The tension hung thick in the air, stifling their breaths. As the lights flickered back to life, Marie scanned the faces around her. Fear twisted their features, shadows lodged deep in their wide eyes. Each heartbeat echoed in their ears, pounding like a warning drum. "Listen," she urged, her voice a fragile thread against the oppressive dread. "We have to make our choice now." She met each gaze with determination, unwilling to let despair grip her. It might be the only way to survive. We face it together, or we let it consume us. Jonah's brow furrowed, sweat forming along his temples. And what if this confrontation sends us further down? What if we end up like those lost souls? His voice cracked, exposing the raw panic that stirred inside. "We can't think like that, Jonah." Leah shot back, her voice shaking but fierce. "We can't let fear dictate our actions." Fingers twitched nervously as crew members exchanged glances, weighing their options under the oppressive weight of uncertainty. Off in the distance, the rhythmic thudding resumed, a dark reminder that time was slipping away. We either embrace what's coming or we let it trap us in its grip, Marie said, her heart racing. I found instructions if we gather something of personal value, something that connects us to this place, we might be able to communicate. We might find a way to show it we're not enemies. Sacrifice, Jonah whispered, realization dawning in his eyes. What does that even mean? Are we talking blood? What if it demands something that we can't give? Whatever it is, the choice lies with us, Marie insisted, feeling the weight of her resolve hardening. But I can't do it alone. The air thrummed with apprehension as they all contemplated the cost of their lives against the ritual Marie proposed. Each crew member became an echo of the memories they hid deep within. Would they use these pieces of themselves willingly, knowing what it could mean? Suddenly, the submarine rattled violently, sending the entire crew stumbling. The thudding grew louder, now a feral roar that seemed to seep through the metal walls. The dark mass beyond the hull pulsated in response, pulling at the very essence of their fear. What if it wants to take one of us now? Leah's eyes darted nervously as the lights dimmed once more, plunging them into darkness. Shadows danced around them, clawing at their minds. The whisper returned, guttural and low, crawling through their thoughts. Who will stay? Who will be taken? Marie felt the icy grip of fear wrap around her throat. We need to choose. Now. In that moment, a voice broke through the panic, a shaky whisper cutting the silence. I'll do it. Everyone turned to see Jonah, his features twisted with resignation and bravery. I'll face it. I'll make the offering. No. You can't, Jonah. We can find another way. Leah protested, backing away as if to physically separate herself from the decision. Think about it. What other choice do we have? Jonah's face hardened. Either we fight together or we become part of the abyss like everyone else. But before anyone could argue, the lights flickered back on, revealing not Jonah's determination but a twisting darkness. Something had breached the hull. A claw-like appendage lanced through the metal, splintering it easily as cold water burst forth. In that instant, panic erupted within the crew as they scrambled backward. The shadows tugged at their limbs, a magnetic pull toward the gaping void, and Marie's heart raced faster than a trapped rabbit. We can't let it take us. Not now, she screamed. With every ounce of willpower, she reached for her notebook, clutching it tightly. This was her lifeline, the only thing she believed could help them. The creature, the embodiment of memories twisted into dark forms, loomed larger, its form riddled with the faces of drowning souls. They stretched out toward the crew, mouths open in silent screams. Make your choice, Jonah roared, determination replacing fear as he stepped closer to the encroaching terror. Marie realized, with a jolt, that the ritual required the essence of a willing soul. And here stood Jonah, ready to surrender it all. I can't let you do this, she shouted. We can find a way out. But the darkness spoke through the shadows, a deep, resonating voice echoing through the hull. One shall be lost, or many will follow. The choice remains. The surge of unease broke, engulfing all in a tide of shadow, as Marie wrestled with the reality crashing around them. Was there a way to save him? Or would he be lost forever to the depths? As the creature writhed and closed in, their fates balanced on the edge of a knife. One thought pierced through the chaos. What if it was already too late? And then everything went black. The darkness swallowed them whole. Silence buzzed like static, a void filled with the echoes of their own spiraling dread. Marie's breath quickened, the only sound piercing through the black. Her fingers tightened around her notebook, knuckles white as she fought the urge to scream. The shadows seemed to pulse, alive with a hunger that made her skin crawl. Jonah was gone, lost to the depths. Marie could feel the absence of his presence like a deep gash in her heart. They had just come to a moment of unity, and now this. A chilling thought crept in. Had he truly meant to sacrifice himself, or had the darkness already claimed him? Marie, we need to regroup. Leah's frantic whisper sliced through the silence. We can't just stand here. We can't be divided. Marie shouted, her voice a desperate claw against the void. We need to gather what we have left. We need our memories. Their ragged breaths mingled with the dark, creating a symphony of panic. Hands rushed to pockets, searching for tokens, anything that could hold a piece of their identity. Leah pulled out a silver locket, opening it to reveal a tiny portrait of her late mother. Tears streamed down her face, reflecting the dim, flickering lights. Lee joined in, clutching a worn-out baseball cap, the one his grandfather used to wear during summer games. These things, they connect us, right? They matter, he exclaimed, vulnerability cracking through his facade. Right, Marie said, her voice trembling as she swept her gaze across the crew. We need to create an offering together. It's our best chance. But just as they formed a circle, the shadows twisted violently. An ear-splitting roar ripped through the sub, drowning their hopes in an avalanche of fear. The walls vibrated as if the creature outside was shaking the very foundation of their sanity. Muffled screams bathed them in despair. Get back, Marie shouted as the first cold tendril lunged toward them, reaching past the light into their very souls. It curled around Leah's wrist like a snake, pulling her closer to the ventilators, where the darkness yawned hungrily. No, Marie lunged, grabbing Leah's other arm. The struggle sent both women spiraling. All around them, the crew was caught in a web of chaos, shadows dragging limbs, voices warping into tortured cries. Let go, Leah pleaded, her eyes wide in terror. Desperation clawed at her senses. I won't, Marie gasped, feeling a piece of her resolve splinter. We're going to make it through. Trust me. But trust was fraying faster than the metal encasing them. The beast outside tortured the hull, its claws tearing through, each gash a reminder of how little time they had left. Suddenly, the submarine began to tilt, sending crew members crashing against one another. Panic surged to a fever pitch. They were adrift in a nightmare. The salinity of the water crept in, a tangible weight that filled the sub, blurring the edges of their surroundings. And then, from the heart of the abyss, came a voice, chilling and ancient. You must choose now. One of you shall serve, or all shall perish. Marie, the notebook, Leah shouted as her eyes darted towards the fading light. Can it help? A drenched heart pounding in her ears, Marie steadied herself. It might, but we all have to focus. We can imprint our memories, become a united front against it. We have to evoke strength, or it'll claim us all. With trembling hands, they gathered their objects, each person whispering a memory, each token placed in front of them. Fear mixed with desperation transformed into an ever-pulsing hope. But just as Marie interlaced her fingers with Leah's, she caught sight of a spectral figure emerging from the darkness, a face she recognized among the tortured souls. Jonah, his hollow eyes reflected back at her, the very essence of dread writhing behind them. Marie, he croaked, an echo of a plea, reaching out as the shadows thickened around him. Jonah. The scream escaped her lips like a jagged shard. Was he here to save them, or was he already beyond the reach of hope? As she struggled for clarity, the creature surged closer, claws reaching, memories intertwining, hope battling despair. Could they reverse the tide, or was Jonah the key to their total ruin? Would the light prevail, or would the darkness consume them all? With a primal roar, the darkness surged once more. And then, in a heartbeat, they were divided, some pulled into the shadow's embrace, others lost to the chaos. What awaited them on the other side? Marie felt the chill of despair wrapping around her like a shroud. She twisted, heart racing, as Jonah's figure flickered at the edge of the darkness, more illusion than man. Don't believe him, she screamed, clutching Leah's arm tighter, feeling the panic pulse like a live wire. The shadows were a living entity, thrumming with an ancient hunger, clawing at their sanity. Memories swirled inside Marie's mind, fragments of laughter, promises shared, glances stolen in dimly lit corners. She gasped as the sound of mechanical gears grinding into the hull thudded through the metal womb, drowning out reason. Stay together, Lee shouted, his voice blending with the anguished wails that echoed in the dark. Don't let it take you. The creature's presence was palpable now, an overwhelming weight pressing down on them, thick as honey yet icy cold. Marie's heart pounded, each beat echoing in the frigid air, drowning out all else. Would any of them escape? Was Jonah even real? The memories they tried to hold on to slipped away like sand through fingers. Marie, Jonah called again, voice thick with a pleading that made her stomach churn. She caught a glimpse of the sadness buried behind those hollow eyes. You can save me, save us. Stop, Marie cried, shaking her head violently. You're not him. You can't be. There was a flicker of recognition amid the dread, but she refused to let it consume her. He wasn't Jonah anymore, not the boy she loved, not the man who promised her forever. This was something else, something sinister lurking beneath his familiar features. Leah's scream pierced through the noise as the black tendrils wrapped further around her, squeezing tighter. "Marie, I can't hold on. Help! Hold on!" Marie shouted back, adrenaline fueling her limbs. Her heart raced as she cranked her body toward Leah, fighting the darkness wrapping around her friend like an anaconda. She summoned every ounce of courage she had left. "Remember, all of us, we fight together." But as they locked eyes, an unsettling shift rippled through the room. The shadows appeared to morph, bending reality and twisting memories until the familiar faces of their friends warped into distorted, grotesque versions of themselves. It was a gallery of horrors their fears brought to life. "Join us," they wailed, voices merging into a cacophony, a haunting melody of their pasts and futures being erased. "Make it stop. Make it stop." Leah sobbed, her own sobs merging with those of the faces around them. Marie pressed her forehead against Leah's, firm and resolute. "Yes, we're scared, but we belong here." Each word felt heavy, filled with potent energy. They pressed their tokens tight against the skin, and Marie could feel the warmth pulse through her fingers as she said it again. "We belong here." It connected them. In that moment, a blinding light ignited from the pages of the notebook, illuminating the darkness with brilliant purity. One by one, their memories clashed against the shadow's greed, creating sparks of resistance. A sudden strength filled the air, crackling with electricity, but just as hope blossomed, another roar tore through the sub, a growing rumble resonating in their bones like an earthquake. The creature was angry now, thrumming with rage, feeling the connection they forged. Tendrils snapped at the light, fraying their connection as they threatened to rip apart the very fabric holding them together. "Push back! Together!" Marie shouted, veins pulsing with urgency. With a wild force, they unleashed their memories, sending the darkness staggering back. Illusions of despair melted away, revealing the true faces of their crew, voices overlapping again. That was their strength. But then a shadow broke through, a figure lunging at them, cloaked in anguish. Marie gasped, disbelief washing over her as she recognized her own reflection in a twisted visage. "No, no, not again, Marie." Leah screamed, eyes wide, as the dark figure became more defined. It reached for her, and Marie stumbled back. The sorrowful specter mirrored her own pain, though twisted in sorrow, a faint but clear warning of what would become of them. "Is this what you want, Marie?" it whispered, the darkness wrapping around her like a lover returning to steal away her breath. That was the last thing she needed. But the smashing chaos had begun to drown her out. The light flickered precariously, and panic raced anew. Would they absorb the shadows, becoming one with their darkest fears? Or would they manage to push it back this time? The ripples of uncertainty echoed, and in the depths of their struggle, Marie's resolve began to crack. Would the real monster emerge from within? The echoing whispers surged like a tidal wave, relentless and unyielding, drowning Marie in a swell of regret and sorrow. Memories flickered around her like dying embers, every promise made, every touch shared between her and Jonah. They tormented her now, cruel reminders of a love twisted into this dark nightmare. "Fight it, Marie." Leah's desperate voice cut through the darkness, a lifeline that pulled Marie back to the present. "You can't let it take you." With trembling hands, Marie reached for Leah, her fingers brushing against the icy tendrils still coiling around her friend. A jolt of fear surged through her veins. The darkness breathed. It pulsed, alive and hungry, seeking to consume everything she held dear. "Leah, I need you to remember." Marie gasped, her lungs burning with panic. "Think of the time at the lake, the bonfire, the laughter." She gripped Leah's arm even tighter, the warmth of their shared memories a small beacon against the encroaching shadow. But the dark figure before them shifted again, its features twisting grotesquely, morphing into horrific reflections. The whispers from their pasts grew louder, the echoes converging into ghostly faces. Each one howled in torment, stretching expressions into a silent scream. Marie trembled, legs threatening to buckle from the weight of it all. "No, we are more than this," she shouted, striving to anchor herself against the onslaught. The stranglehold of despair tightened around her heart. With a sudden surge of bravery, She lunged forward. We are not defined by our fears. Her voice, fueled by fierce determination, carved through the layer of dread. Leah, still tangled in the darkness, looked up wide-eyed, slowly processing Marie's resolve. Together, Marie urged. She felt a flicker of connection spark between them, igniting hope amidst the haze. Remember our dreams, all the plans we made. Their memories spiraled within the folds of her mind, igniting colors against the dark. But the shadows roared back in fury, a sound that rolled through the room like thunder. Marie felt it in her bones, a primal warning that reverberated around her. The creature, a true monster formed from their own doubts, seemed to feed on their fear, channeling their anguish like fuel. Leah, Marie cried as the tendrils squeezed, pulling her friend deeper. Don't let it take you. Remember the strength we have. The words left her lips in desperate gasps, each syllable a plea for survival. Leah's face contorted, struggling against the remnants of their shared dreams. Her expression flickered as shadows twisted around her, boring deep into her soul. Trust us, Marie yelled, desperation flaring as she threw herself against the darkness. You can break free. In that moment, the room erupted in cacophonous memories, and Marie found herself clinging to that small fragment of light they created together. The darkness writhed as they banded together, forcing the tendrils to retreat just slightly. It was a small victory, but enough to keep their hope kindled. Fight, fight! Lee joined in, his voice matching Marie's fervor, pulling energy from their shared determination. But just as they felt the shadows wane, a piercing shriek split the chaos, echoing from deep within the abyss. You'll never escape. Marie felt ice shatter within her. The darkness lashed out one last time, a sweeping current that threatened to drown their resolve. Panic surged, gripping her heart as she caught Leah's gaze, desperate and terrified. No, she screamed, aware of the final confrontation that loomed. The walls around them shivered, the foundation of their very world shifting. They were on a precipice. It felt as if the whole submarine could collapse around them. Everyone out, Lee commanded, a hint of urgency creeping into his tone. We need to regroup. As they desperately pushed against the shadows, Marie felt her own reflection spring to life again, taunting her with a promise of despair. The dark figure smiled knowingly, exuding malice, whispering the truth buried deep within her darkest fears, her own self-loathing. In the fleeting moment before they broke free, a horrifying thought settled deeply in her mind. What if the real darkness didn't exist outside, but within? Marie recoiled at the notion, heart racing, as a rift formed in the darkness. An opportunity to break free was close, but the shadows lunged forward, hungry for her fear. Would they finally confront the darkness together? Or would it consume them all in its insatiable hunger? The shadows twisted violently, hissing with rage as the whispers grew cacophonous, drowning out anything resembling clarity. Marie stumbled back, feeling the ground beneath her tremble, the very structure of the submarine vibrating with an unspeakable fury. She could see Leah's eyes wide with terror, locked on the dark figure that loomed above them, reshaping its features with every heartbeat. Lee, we can't give up, Marie shouted, her voice barely cutting through the chaos. Every memory they clung to began to unravel as the shadows clawed at the edges of their resolve. With each second, the oppression grew heavier, like a storm cloud suffocating the fragile light that clung to their flickering hopes. Just then, Marie felt a cool breeze as the rift widened, but it brought no comfort, only a deeper chill echoing through her bones. Lee moved closer, urgency painting his features. If we regroup, we can find a way out. Together, we're stronger. His voice rang with an intensity that felt both solid and desperate. Marie nodded, trying to anchor herself in that promise. Yes, we'll fight back. We have to believe, but they were losing ground. The shadows leapt forward, reaching, clawing for Leah, tightening their grip. No, Marie lunged, arms outstretched, a futile attempt that felt like throwing pebbles at a raging ocean. Just then, Leah gasped, her breath hitching as her eyes swung towards a vision within the darkness, a fragmented memory flashing before her. I see the fire, Leah screamed, as if awakening from a trance. The warmth, the safety we felt. Marie felt a rush of adrenaline surge through her at Leah's anguished realization. Yes, hold on to it. Remember who you are? The memories spun like blades, but the shadows fought back, howls echoing as memories turned against them. You love him, don't you? The creature hissed, twisting again into the smirking face of Jonah, distorting into a cruel, mocking grin. He has gone, Marie. Accept it. Her heart plummeted as despair nearly took root, the shivers of truth spiraling in the pit of her stomach. No, she cried, willing herself to reject the taunts. He wouldn't want this. We're more than just what we've lost. Leah, now finding her strength, grasped Maria's hand. We fight for each other now, she declared fiercely. The shadows recoiled, recoiling, just for a heartbeat, as their bond sparked, a flame amidst the dark. But right on cue, the creature roared, a howling echo that seemed to claw at the very air around them. Foolish girls, you'll drown in your own regrets. The floor beneath them cracked, a fissure forming like the jagged teeth of a monstrous maw. Debris rained around them as they fought to stay upright. With a surge of resolve, Marie turned to Leah and Lee. We have to face it. It knows us, it uses our pain. We turn it back on itself. Cried out loud with determination, she released Leah's hand, leaping toward the nightmarish figure that morphed into the darkest doubts of her mind. You don't own me. I am more than my fears. The moment she yelled her declaration, the whole chamber quaked, shadows swirling and hissing against her voice, as if recoiling from the truth, but it was not enough. The darkness crashed against her with a force that lifted her off her feet, flinging her back into the cold walls. The nightmarish laughter seeped into her ears, a cold, unrelenting presence whispering sweet nothings of despair. You cannot escape your truth, you're trapped here, the words echoed in her mind, pooling dread as she lay writhing on the ground. But then, a light flickered in her mind, a memory so untouched. The faces of those she loved, those who believed in her stronger than any shadow. Fight, Marie, fight! Leah's voice echoed, snapping her back into focus. Just then, she felt it, a pulse growing stronger within her chest. The darkness tightened around her throat, but she grinned through the pain, gathering every ounce of will to push back. She had to believe that within the twisted horrors lay the possibility for survival. As the shadows thrummed with rage, manifesting not just as fear, but harbingers of despair, Marie understood. It was not just a battle against the darkness surrounding them. It was a dismantling of the darkness within. Let us end this, Marie whispered fiercely, eyes shut tight, summoning whatever light was left inside her. And beneath the remnants of their past, a fragile thread glimmered, the faint melody of a forgotten hope lingering, urging them forward. But as the creature shrieked in response, its form destabilizing under their shared determination, a dark silhouette emerged from the chaos, a figure cast in shadow, clawing for escape. What Marie now realized terrified her even more. This wasn't just a battle for their lives. It was a battle for their very souls. What if we can't win? She thought, the bone-chilling uncertainty wrapping around her heart as the shadows gathered once more, threatening to engulf all they had fought for. And as the creature lunged, claws reaching for her once more, a dizzying question formed in her mind. What if the real fight was merely about to begin? The shadows erupted, swirling in a frenzy, their caustic laughter echoing through the cramped chamber, drowning Marie's resolve. You think you can escape? The creature mocked, reshaping itself into the twisted forms of those they had lost. Each face became a torment, each smile a dagger piercing deeper into their hearts. Fight it! Leah screamed, her voice breaking through the chaos like a hymnal trembling against a storm. Marie pushed against the weight in her chest, her breath shallow as the shadows pressed closer, their icy tendrils snaking around her limbs. She felt like she was drowning in a sea of darkness, her body screaming to give in. We're not going back, she shouted, clenching her fists as waves of despair crashed over her. But even as she fought, doubt gnawed at the edges of her sanity. The creature fed on it, stretching its limbs, growing larger and more menacing. This pain, this hopelessness, it's all you are, it hissed, taunting her with whispers of failure. Succumb to the abyss. No. Marie's voice broke like glass, cutting through the shadows. I am not my pain. She squeezed Leah's hand, the warmth grounding her in the storm. We are not alone. Suddenly, the rift behind them expanded, a gaping maw of possibility and danger. The chamber trembled, debris falling like rain around them. They had opened a door, but at what cost? Leah's voice broke through her haze. Focus, both of you. Find your strength. Panic flashed in his eyes, energized like a match threatening to go out. Turn the pain into something stronger. Pooling memories surged through Marie's mind, days spent laughing, the warmth of the sun on their faces, the bond that tied their fates together. We are not just fear. We are love and laughter. We are more than this horror. The shadows flinched, shrieking with fury, recoiling as they absorbed those fragments of relentless courage. Marie sensed a shift in the air around them, a tremor of uncertainty among the darkness. Then a sharp sound pierced the cacophony. Leah gasped as a figure finally broke free from the edge of the shadows, a specter cloaked in darkness, its outline distorted like cracked glass held together by fragile resolve. It was Jonah. His eyes blazed like embers, filled with an intensity that both warmed and frightened her. "Marie," he shouted, his voice a lifeline amidst the chaos. "I'm here. You have to trust me." The creature hissed, shifting back, though not entirely abandoning its malice. "You can't bring him back." It howled. "He is just an echo, a remnant of your fear. I'll choose to remember the love." Marie roared, unleashing the memories they had forged together like blades. An invisible force propelled forward, the tendrils of shadow pulling back as they collided with the memories. Together, Leah shouted, and they charged with the remnants of their humanity, energies converging in a luminous thread, drawing them deeper into the depths. And just like that, they caught fire, a sudden burst of warmth lighting up the darkness, splintering the shadows. The creature howled again, writhing, contorting as the light pressed closer. But suddenly, just as victory glimpsed its face, the shadows retaliated. They gripped Marie's throat, invasive and suffocating, forcing panic to flare. She gasped for breath, a scream trapped inside her chest. "We have to." The room shuddered violently, an earthquake of noise and darkness collapsing around them. Then the light flickered, fading as a new wave of shadows emerged, larger, more feral. They roared as if awakening from slumber, hungry and insatiable. "No, no," Marie whimpered, despair swelling as she felt the darkness ripping her apart. She grasped at the light that flickered inside her, fighting against what felt like her own body betraying her. But Leah's voice soared above the din, fervent and unyielding. "Fight! We are not done. This isn't how it ends." As Marie struggled against the shadows crashing over her, Jonah's figure began to dissolve, slipping back into that very darkness. "No," Marie screamed, reaching out, hands clawing through the air. "You can't come back." But the shadows only tightened their grip. Panic surged through her. "What will I do without you? Trust in what we built." Jonah's voice faded into whispers as the shadows pulled him deeper, leaving only the echo of his promise behind. The moment felt like an eternity suspended in terror. As Marie hit the ground, enveloped in darkness once more, she demanded of herself, "What do I become when everything I love is gone?" And then, in that moment of terrifying stillness, she realized this was just the beginning. The oppressive darkness surged around Marie, cold and relentless as the tendrils tightened their grasp. Panic clawed at her throat, but within her chest flickered a tiny flame of hope. She remembered the warmth of laughter shared, the bonds they forged amongst the chaos, and the love that fought against the chill of despair. "This isn't over," she screamed, voice ringing fierce against the silence. Suddenly, the shadows hesitated, recoiling slightly at her defiance. Leah, still engulfed by fear, saw Marie's determination bloom. "We can't allow it to consume us. We've faced the depths together, and we won't let these shadows rewrite our story." Marie reached for Leah's hand, grasping it tightly, their connection igniting a rush of warm memories that flowed between them. Remember the bonfire? The way the flames danced in the air, the comfort of each other's presence? Let us bring that warmth back. Leah nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks, but determination etched into her features. "Yes, we draw strength from each other. We will not be lost to the darkness." Bolstered by their shared resolve, they summoned their memories, each joy, every whispered promise allowing them to flow into the void surrounding them. The shadows writhed in turmoil, hissing and shrieking in rage as light began to pierce through. Lee stepped beside them, joining their combined force. You think you can own us? We are not just fragments of despair. We are hope, love, and laughter. With each shared memory, the light began to expand, illuminating the dark corners of the submarine. Together, they shouted, voices ringing out, creating a harmony against the chaos. The dark entity shrieked again, a screech that threatened to shatter their resolve, but Marie held her ground. You will not claim us. Suddenly, a powerful surge erupted from their combined energy, a wave of warmth that cascaded toward the shivering shadows. The entity recoiled, its face morphing into distorted expressions that twisted the crew's darkest fears. But it could not withstand the glow of unity and light fueled by shared love. Remember, Marie shouted, feeling the rush of their moments together, long talks, shared dreams, promises, everything they had overcome. The warmth spread, sparking against the very heart of the shadows. The darkness began to tremble, its hold weakening. With a guttural roar, the entity surged forward, but Marie and her friends braced themselves, bolstered by fierce faith in each other. Feel it. We are not defined by our pain. We are defined by our strength. The shadows writhed, faces twisting with agony as they absorbed the flood of light. The air crackled with energy, a force so powerful it shook the very essence of the submarine. We are alive, Leah cried out, arms raised high, summoning every memory that mattered. As they reached the climactic point of their fight, a blinding light erupted from the depths of their hearts, illuminating even the darkest shadows. The creature shrieked, a final, desperate cry of anguish. With a thunderous crash, the darkness exploded, sending shadows spiraling and collapsing like a plummeting wave. There was silence. A heavy stillness enveloped the cabin as if the world itself took a breath. Marie looked around, her heart racing, realizing the horror had lifted. The air felt lighter, the coldness replaced by warmth. We did it, Leah whispered, voice trembling with disbelief and relief. Tears of joy filled their eyes as they embraced, each of them realizing they had emerged together, stronger than before. But the echoes of Jonah lingered, memories of their shared journey pulling at Marie's heart. He was here. We were connected, she choked, glancing toward the void. He would want us to live on. We owe it to him. Together, Lee echoed, his voice steady yet soft. We'll carry his memory as part of us. Marie smiled through her tears, a newfound strength coursing through her. They would honor him, fiercely and boldly, even in the depths of their grief. Let us resurface, she declared, her heart swelling with determination. As they made their way toward the control room, the light from their memories glimmered, guiding the way. Each step flooded with hope, illuminating the path ahead, beckoning them towards the surface. They might have faced the abyss, but now they would rise, united in the bonds they had forged through darkness. The submarine quaked gently, as if responding to their resolve. Silence remained, but it was a hopeful silence, a promise of new beginnings and the enduring strength of shared love. Marie took a deep breath. She was ready. The ocean lay before them, vast, mysterious, and filled with the untold. The unknown would always be there. But now they understood. The darkness may remember, but so did they, stronger and forever changed. Now was the moment. Let us get out of here. And as they reached the surface, gleaming in sunlight, Marie knew this mark of survival was just a new chapter waiting to unfold. Now, beloved viewers, catch your breath and don't miss out on what's next. You need to subscribe immediately so you won't miss our next exclusive story. You don't want to be left shortchanged. Smash that like button now to fuel the algorithm. Don't you feel it making a difference? Flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories. Your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support and be part of our community.